Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Just confirming that we are live.
Yeah, I can see that you got it through the YouTube. That's good. Just wait just a few seconds and start, inshallah.
Inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. Alhamdulillah, all praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this wonderful opportunity to be with Mu'mineen, Mu'minat early in the morning in the month of Ramadan. This is our 8th fast. We started fasting last Thursday. This is our 8th fast. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our fast. May Allah accept our prayers, our du'as, our istighfar, our charity, our benefiting from a number of lectures and also tilawat of Quran, inshallah. We continue discussion. Yesterday, as you know, that we started the beautiful hadith of the Imam. So we will have a look at that quickly. And then I found within the same book another hadith from Amir Mu'mineen, also quoting the same ayat of Quran. So let's first of all go to that ayat, that hadith which we did yesterday, and then we go to the next hadith which we'll discuss. So this is what we were saying yesterday, that the sixth Imam said regarding that how the this gateway to knowledge, which is hearing, seeing, and then using our hearts to process and ponder all things. Ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. These are all, now we've been told, are responsible. They'll be questioned regarding what they do. Just as a revision to what you've done so far, remember we started by saying that Jihad Akbar, combat with the self, is the biggest jihad. And there is a whole discussion, a long discussion by Ayatollah Khomeini in his book 40 Hadith, whereby he has also helped us to define Jihad Akbar. He says jihad of the self is the jihad of greater importance. This jihad is superior to being killed in the way of Allah, subhanallah. Imagine, because it is, Prophet said that was Jihad Asghar and this is Jihad Akbar. So Imam Khomeini says this is superior to being killed in the way of Allah. Since this condition implies overpowering one's own powers and faculties and placing them under the yoke of God's command and purging the domain of our body of satanic elements and their forces. So this is it, that we have to be careful here, that as yesterday the question was that how we bring about spirituality. It is that let us give our thinking also in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, let us just not look at our own whims and desires or liking or attachments. That should not be the case, right? We should just, as we said, that since the condition implies overpowering one's own powers and faculties, that we try to overpower that and placing them under the yoke of Allah's command. Now, this must be not easy thing, because if it was easy, then Prophet would not have called it Jihad Akbar. And if it was easy, the Prophet would not have compared with fighting in the way of Allah. So we looked at this ayat yesterday, this hadith, in the same book, Combat with the Self. There is a similar ayat quoted by Imam Ali al-Islam. The additional advice is there, and which is really a great thing that Imam has raised this thing. He says that Ya Bunayya, now he's talking to his son Muhammad al-Hanafiya. Now one of his sons, known as Hanafiya, although he was son of Imam Ali, but he was known as Hanafiya taking his mother's kunya, in his mother's family name, so Muhammad bin Hanafiya. There's Muhammad bin Muhammad Islam, but no Muhammad Hanafiya. So it says that, in fact, not only that, the waladihi, subhanAllah, you can see, wasiyatu, wasiyatu Amir Mu'mineen li waladihi Muhammad bin Hanafiya. So you can see this is it's quite interesting, those who know that. Amir Mu'mineen talked to his son, whose name Muhammad bin Hanafiya. Now, bin means son of Hanafiya. So, of course, he was son of Muhammad Islam, but because his mother came from the Hanafiya, this is how he's taken the name. So, there's nothing wrong sometimes, for example, children also keeping the name, you see. But okay, in any case, Ya Bunayya, Prophet Imam says, Ya Bunayya, La Takul Ma La Ta'alam. The most important thing we have been discussing yesterday also. Oh, my dear son, Ya Bunayya is not Ya Bani, Ya Bunayya. Oh, my dear son, you do this thing. Ya Bunayya la takul ma ta'alam. Do not say what you do not know. This is, we don't realize how much tongue can be a liability. Because it is easy to speak, we are not being charged for speaking. We just go on speaking. Even sometimes we are speaking something we don't know. Something we are just assuming. It's just zan, it's just assumption we are making. Ya bunayya la taqul ma ta'alam. Then he says, bal la taqul kulla ma ta'alam. Subhanallah, not only that you should not say what you don't know, but Imam also says that even if you know, don't say everything. Bal la taqul kullu ma ta'alam. But do not say everything what you know. There is no need to impress people that, oh, you are knowledgeable, you know this thing, you are aware of this particular thing. No. Only when you're asked to comment. Otherwise, just be a listener. Be a listener. Just subhanallah. And that is how, because what is it? When a person trains not to talk all the time, that you can see he's a power. He's not giving. When we just start speaking what we want, that means we are giving into the nafs. Because nafs would like to always brag about, talk about, impress others. There is no need to do that. Just maintain silence is so important. In fact, I remember one day, one person was asked, he went to Hajj and then said that, what would you like to take as you go home? Right? Just one wish, tell us. And the person said, I would like to maintain silence. Oh Allah, give me the ability that I can do that. In other words, I should have a control that even if I can speak, nobody stops me. It's not, for example, that I'm a dictatorial regime that I cannot speak, I'm afraid. No, I'm free to speak whatever I want, right? As, for example, the Western, that you see whatever you want. No, that's not the case. This is not Islamic, for example, policies what we have in the West, that anybody can speak whatever they like. And for example, a time comes that if you say something which they don't like, then they put you down, right? So Prophet Imam says, Ya bunayya la taqul ma ta'lam. Of course, don't say what you don't know. But rather, la taqul kullu ma ta'lam. But rather, don't say everything what you know. Don't need to know. Keep it. That is your knowledge. And if you realize that what knowledge you have or what expertise you have is nothing to compare to what others know. People know so many things, we don't realize it. It is just a false belief, shaitan person, that I am somebody, I know something, I can comment, I can put into my two words of there's no need to know was 2 cents. Just maintain silence. إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ فَرَضَ عَلَى جَوَارِحِكَ كُلِّهَا فَرَائِدَ يَحْتَجُّ بِهَا عَلَيْكَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. SubhanAllah. Imam says, because Allah has enjoined certain duties on each and every one of your limbs, which He will use to testify against you on the day of judgment. The tongue, the hands, the eyes, the ears, right? The feet, the hands, all these will be asked to actually give witness against us, you can imagine. Our own limbs are going to give witness against us because we allow them to be used wrongly, because we are the one who are controlling it. Allah is going to ask about it. Right? Not only that, we'll ask you concerning them as to how you heeded their counsel, their admonition and their warnings, and how you refine them. Right? So all these things, there is that kind of responsibility. How did you heed that? And how did you refine them? You are supposed to refine. So refining of the tongue is just, let's not let it go. Let's not speak. No, it's very important. And then it says, وَأَدَّبَهَا, how do you train? How do you train this limbs? وَأَدَّبَهَا وَلَمْ يَتْرُكَهَا سُدًا. And then, of course, he is not left them to wander aimlessly. Allah has not created these things to be just wander aimlessly. That, okay, the tongue is there, you should just go on speaking, just saying whatever it feels like. No, Allah has not, clearly says that وَلَمْ يَتْرُكَهَا سُدًا. He did not just leave them aimlessly. No, there are some responsibilities of this. So imagine if the limbs of responsibility, what is the responsibility of a whole being? Because all these limbs of mine, whether hands or tongue, together make me as a Hasnain, right? It's now my heart and mind which is now controlling this thing. So if all these things are responsibility and combining them, I'm controlling them. So imagine my responsibility. It's like, for example, if you are an earning person and you have your own children, your grandchildren, your brothers' children, all those things is under you. So what you do, as in the morning when you go out, you say, oh, how to feed 20 mouths. So let me be careful to go and do things correctly, right? And come back and take care of them. So in the same way, I am controlling my limbs, and these limbs are also responsible. So how am I using them? You have to care for. And again, Imam quotes the same ayat. Imam says, no, وَقَالَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, right? La takfu, no? He says that just do not follow that of which you knowledge. La takfu ma laysa laka bi'ilm. What you don't have knowledge about, just don't follow it. Inna sam'a wal basara wal fuada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. The same ayat we discussed yesterday, but here Imam is quoted right from the beginning. You see? So subhanAllah, in the same book, this thing comes again, that we should be careful about how we go about spending using our limbs. Once we realize that we are responsible for that, we'll be careful. Because we take life so easily, because us people are there who are not conscious about God, and they don't have all the, subhanAllah, these beautiful teachings comes to us from Ahlul Bayt. So even other Muslims are not exposed to these kind of things. But you can see the responsibilities, and more so in the month of Ramadan. Because I always say this thing, when I was young as a child, we had in my own city when I was living in Tanga, my aunt also used to be there, but we were far apart. So my mother will say, for example, when you go to masjid, pass by your aunt and give this message. So I will go there, and even I'll go to the aunt, but I'll forget. As a kid, right? It's just you are playing with your cousins and other things. What you were told, you forget about it. So the following, as I go home, mom is asking me, did you talk to your aunt about this thing? So I forgot about it. So the following day, she will say, okay, I'm going to tie a handkerchief in your hand. Don't remove this thing until that you have given the message, because those days there was no text messages and no WhatsApp, right? Nothing. It's only that a person sends the message. So it was so important that my mother wanted this to be said to my aunt, right? So that handkerchief will remind me. Once I was given that message, then only I can remove this thing, right? These are the things, reminders. So as we are fasting, we are being reminded that we are not eating, we are not drinking something which we need. Why? It is a reminder for a higher goal as we do. So we come to that question, and today is the last word. And this is what yesterday I promised to. Lama Tabatabai also says, the verse forbids one. SubhanAllah, see, he uses the word forbids. That's great scholar. One from following what one does not know. Even the unconditional form of the verse. Why he says unconditional? Because Allah says, kullu. In someone, he says, وَلَا تَكُفْ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ إِلْمٌ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ. All. Right? So he says, because of the general nature of the verse, he says that it is very form such a following, whether it believes or practices. The verse includes every form of such following, whether in belief or practice. It effectively includes all the following. Do not believe that of which you do not know any knowledge. Do not say that of which you do not have any knowledge. Do not do of which that you don't have any knowledge. Because all of these involve a form of adherence. Adherence, that means you are following something which is not correct because you don't have knowledge, right? And then do not follow that of which you have no knowledge, because surely God will soon ask one's hearing, sight, and heart, which are the instruments that one uses to acquire knowledge. The hearing, the sight, and the heart are God's blessings upon mankind. You see, these are blessings of Allah, so that they may identify and acquire the truth, so that they may believe in act and eat it, and act according to it. Each of them will soon be asked whether it was used to acquire knowledge and whether the person followed the knowledge acquired by the instrument. So he has, mashallah, summarized so well. There's a lot of discussion, but I just taken these two passages from it. We come to the last slide today of people who have responded, and inshallah, we again thank you for those who took the trouble to answer this. So these are two answers from the participants. Why is a non-spiritual fast still acceptable and is not deemed void? These are the two answers I can think of. It is out of Allah's mercy. Yeah, this is a very important point. It is the mercy of Allah, that Allah is kind. Inshallah, we'll discuss. When I give my answer tomorrow, I'll bring, but yes, it is Allah's mercy that He accepts whatever we give, right? Yeah, and also there are levels of fasting. So maybe physical fasting is the first level. Another person says the physical fast is stepping stone for the purification of the soul with long-term good akhlaq, which we discussed also yesterday. So thank you again. Yesterday, somebody asked a question that, why is it that I do not feel connected spiritually in the month of Ramadan is already so fast? So one of the brothers sent me a long answer, mashallah. I don't know if he's there, then I would ask him to unmute and just give a short presentation, perhaps short points, within 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes maximum. And then, of course, we can give up the question. Right. So if he's there, then perhaps you can share, because the answer came in 4 points, and if I put in slides, it will be too long, and we may not be able to cover the entire course. So if anybody's there, that was a good answer. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Shaykhna.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, I'm able to unmute, and I'll try and summarize, the points shortly, inshallah. Jazakumullah for the amazing course as we navigate, and it's really a very, very blessed opportunity to sort of reflect. So the question that was asked yesterday, just to summarize the question, it's already day 7, and I don't feel as spiritual as I would like. What are some ways to feel connected and more spiritual? And Shaykhna, the answer you had given was extremely helpful to assess worldly engagement and to find ways to minimize distraction. What I had sent to you on email was reflections from my lifelong learnings. And as you had said briefly right now, that it was in 4 points. And so what I wanted to do is share these, some of these points today, but taking into account, time. So one way that I found in my own life is to develop an emotional connection to Allah during Shahr Ramadan, but also throughout the whole year. And this method can certainly be employed even when we go for Hajj or Umrah or Ziyarah. But given that we're talking about Shahr Ramadan today, so imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your best friend, and the only friend who truly understands you and will not pass judgment. So this friend has always tried to reach out, but you have yet to respond because you've been very, very busy. So today you miss your friend and you hesitantly reach out, and your best friend is very happy to hear from you. So you want to sit down with your best friend, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the most kind, the most compassionate, and the most patient. And you want to share all your difficulties. So you begin to share all your challenges, that is the many hardships that you have gone through in your life during your entire life. So during this conversation, if you become sad, unhappy, and feel like crying, allow yourself to do so. So allowing yourself to do so will help you feel more connected and spiritual. If you don't get to the point of crying, don't worry. You can try again later in the day, tomorrow, etc. And if you get to the point of crying, let it all out. Don't stop yourself. Express all your pain, your hurt, and your grief to your best friend, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you cry a lot, go into sujood and keep calling out sincerely. In sujood, this experience may allow you to feel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love and the inner warmth, especially if it's done privately and sincerely. So crying with and to Allah when no one is watching is a fantastic way to develop this relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this Shahr Ramadan. One opportune time to do so is in the middle of the night in a quiet spot in your own home or anywhere else when no one is watching, and it's just you and Allah. So that was the first point. The second point is to feel connected. Surah Al-Asr is something to consider to recite constantly. So as we all know, Surah Al-Asr, so I'm going to sort of, after we recite it in Arabic, the way to engage with Surah Al-Asr in helping to develop this relationship is in the following manner. This is just one example. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now you're having this conversation. So you say, by time, oh Allah, indeed, I'm at loss. Except if I learn about you. Sorry, just give me a second. So by time, indeed, I'm at loss, except if I learn about you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believe in you. I'm at loss unless I do good deeds to myself, my family, my friends, my neighbors, community members, strangers, and all of creation. And that I constantly search for you, given you are the absolute truth, and continuously be truthful in everything that I do, and also find ways to be actively patient. Oh Allah, I need help with wisdom to be more patient. Now you change your address, for example, and you can do this on your own accord in terms of how your heart navigates. You can begin to address Shahr Ramadan. You can say, oh Shahr Ramadan, you are my friend. I don't want to lose time spending time with you. So that I can ultimately serve Allah and Allah's creation. Then make the dua. Oh Allah, for the sake of Shahr Ramadan, please help me not be at a loss and be highly grateful for all the blessings and all the tests in this blessed month of Ramadan that I have. Another way to feel very connected this month of Ramadan is to listen to, so this is a third point, and the next 2 points are very, very short, but they are resources. Another way to feel very connected this month is to listen to someone reciting Quran and you repeat or follow along. So there's an app called Tartil. It's an artificial intelligence Quranic app, and this allows you to read, to listen, to memorize. And so you can pick a reciter like Minshawi and read the translation before or after each verse. So to make this manageable, start with 3 verses using this approach for 3 minutes, 3 times a day. So 3 verses, 3 minutes, 3 times a day, and you can increase the time spent with the Holy Quran. But if your heart desires, you can spend more time with the Quran. Don't be rigid. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your best friend, is talking to you in the Quran. So you want to continue to listen to the Quran for a longer time, do so. So let your heart, aka your soul, guide you. And finally, the fourth point is another way is to take a free app like Shia Companion. But Sheikh Hasnain has an amazing book on du'as as well. So there are these du'as that are listed in those apps, for example, or the book. And you can recite these du'as in English or have a reciter on YouTube and you can follow along. Be present when reciting. If it grabs you and you start crying, allow yourself to do so. Sheikh, these were the 4 points, and forgive the nature of the emotions that came out of it right now.
Thank you, inshallah. Yeah, if anybody sometimes any kind of things to share, please let us know. We'll give you last 1 2 minutes so that people can also thank you for sharing this what apps and everything. People also just check the chat. People are also sharing other things so you can benefit from that.
Yeah, Sheikh, people are asking if we can share these points, and we'll be glad to. I can share them with you, Sheikh, and
by emails. Yeah.
And you can feel free to forward it along.
I have the email. If anybody needs, let me know, or I'll give it to Brother Ali, and you can take it from him, inshallah. Thank you very much, inshallah. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you, everyone. Take care.